Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to a video of mine. Today is July 14th, 2020. Now, as the title says, it's a book review for a book named Station 11. I was recommended this book by my senior year teacher, and I decided to go out and grab it about a month ago. It's due tomorrow, so making a book review about it. It took me a long time, as many books that are recommended to me take me to read. I read like a little bit once I got it, and then I never got back into it because I was like, it's a little bit boring. But then I got back into it yesterday, I think, and not bad. I'm gonna give a few of my thoughts and a few of other people's thoughts, and then a final consensus at the end. Firstly, I like that the pandemic was more deadly than the current one, because I mean it's like very dramatized, but I think it's in a fun way, you know? So this book follows a bunch of people, and primarily the main character is this girl named Kirsten Raymond. It follows a bunch of people and their lives pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and post-pandemic, but mostly it's a lot of like flashbacks. It's a lot of like current events and then flashbacks to the pre-pandemic. But there's this group called the Traveling Symphony that does Shakespeare plays for the people that survived the pandemic and that are just like sitting around doing nothing. And they just bring entertainment to people and just, you know, travel the I think it's the eastern coast a little bit. And that's basically what the book is about. It has a lot of characters, it has a lot of like interconnected characters, but we don't know that, right? Like it starts off with the start of the pandemic and people are like, oh, whatever, we're just gonna brush this off. And then the mortality rate is 99% and the whole population gets wiped out and society collapses. That's the most unrealistic part. Let's just be real. But then again, this book was written in 2014, so I understand that obviously they had no idea that this was gonna happen, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of a phone bad, book good moments in here, like boomer moments, like pre-pandemic, they were like, oh yeah, all these people on their phones and like they don't know how to like connect with people. And then supposedly that like once society collapses and technology no longer is a thing, that people are living their lives more simple and like better. First of all, okay. And my question is, they never said how this virus spreads. So basically the virus is called the Georgia flu because it was originated in Georgia and Russia. But the thing is, it's like deadly. Like you get it and then you're dead within 48 hours. But how do people get it? Like how is it spread? I mean, it's a virus, so they said that the virus was a strain of flu that was more deadly. Sound familiar? But this was like deadly. Like once you get it, you're dead within 48 hours, like I said. But they never said, one, how it spreads, or two, how to prevent it. And my whole like mind was like, why not just wear a mask? You know, like just use your common sense. Like if you're sick, I mean, people started dying and then like it didn't reach North America for some time, right? There's other people that explain this a lot better than me. But basically there's just a lot of there's no thinking. So yeah, just wear a mask or something, I don't know. But I still think that is a must read for people right now, because I read this and then I like looked up and I was like, this could be so much worse. Like so much worse, because society collapses within a week and we're 4 months in as of yesterday and we're pretty much fine. I mean, we're not fine, but like it's better than this. But as much as I don't like the plot convenience of the book, it's greatly written. There's depth and characters, and then there's like plot and like things happen. I don't know. I like how it was written. Other people like how it was written. So I'm gonna go with that. Okay, now about the book. So before making this video, I went on YouTube, I typed in Station 11, and I saw 2 videos of 2 people that read this book. They're a little bit on the longer side, but I watched them and they explained a lot of things that I don't want to explain or that I can't because I'm not in the position to explain them, so I'll link them down below. So firstly, is that in this book, there's multiple points of views that are later connected, and like connected. And then someone said that it's very nice how you don't really think about like your connection with other people, and like you might not really think that you made a difference in their lives, but you did by a lot. The ableism in these post-apocalyptic literature, where like a lot of the times someone who is disabled is like, no, go on without me, I'm just gonna take care of myself, just go live your life. Like, no. Firstly, like I didn't think about this until I saw another person, and like there's this one scene where that happened and they were like, why would you do that? Like, you can obviously still survive, it's not bad. But just go watch their video, I'll link it down below. They explained it a lot better than me. Again, the virus isn't realistic, but I'm letting this slide for entertainment purposes, you know? Like, what if? Like, some people read this while like it was starting, so they were like kind of panicking, like, what if this did happen? But as we see, it's not happening, so it's just a little bit of a fun read, you know? Like, what if this happened? And how would you survive if this happened? It's just basically super unrealistic. Like, when I read it, when I finished reading it, I was like, it's a good book. But then I saw other people's like perspectives and I was like, oh, yeah, that's just not gonna work. But for the sake of fiction and just general like unrealistic unrealistic expectations in literature, I'm gonna let it slide. Like, here's how it's unrealistic. There's no type of government, like, after all these years, like, it's in the time period of, like, okay, so basically, it starts when the pandemic, like, hits, and then afterwards is, like, years later, like, decades later, and after the pandemic hits, people just stop, like, they don't remember the year, right? Like, they remember months and days, just not what year. And they say this a little bit. They're like, yeah, these people, they just don't know what year it is. And like, not to bash on anyone, but I'm pretty sure that if you lived through a pandemic where the mortality rate was 99%, you would be writing this stuff down and you would be remembering the dates. And like, I'm pretty sure there's some historians out there in this, like, where is it, fictional world, writing all of this down and remembering the years. So that's a little bit yikes, because people firstly invented time. I don't think they would just like get rid of it because, I don't know, people died. Like, that's just not how it's gonna work. So yeah, there's no type of government, so people just live in towns in peace? Sorry, no. Have you met people? Have you met humans? They said that within like the first few years of the pandemic hitting, people were very on edge and very hostile, and I believe that 100%. And then afterwards, people just kind of like, you know, helped each other. But like, I don't know, something about that just makes me uncomfortable. Like, you're not gonna make it into society? Come on, 20 years in and no society. Okay. But there was this one part where there was this cult that went around terrorizing other towns and taking over, and now that is believable. I definitely agree with that, and people will do that. Now, I'm not gonna go into it because it is a very important part of the plot. Again, lots of phone bad, book good moments. Like, pre-pandemic was terrible and people were like dead inside and just on their phones all the time. And then post-pandemic, people lived a simplistic life and they were just so happy with their Shakespeare and getting overthrown by cult leaders. Anyways, so some of the thoughts that are going to be a little bit of what's it called, spoiler dense. There's gonna be spoilers. It's quite a book. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have like my mind entirely made up about this book. It's definitely fiction and unrealistic, but it's unrealistic in the way that makes you appreciate it. I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh my gosh, these like characters, quite an adventurous group of people, but then you like look up and then you remember your own life and you're like, it could be worse. This really could be worse. And that's what I really appreciate about this book, especially reading it during a pandemic. I mean, sure, if you read this not during a pandemic, there's different feelings about it. There's a world where a pandemic happened that killed 99% of the population, and there's a traveling symphony, and there's a cult leader that stemmed from a famous actor, and stuff like that, So what I like is the foreshadowing, because in the beginning you're introduced to all these people, like I said, and then their lives intertwine like later on, but there's a lot of flashbacks, a lot of foreshadowing in the book, which I enjoy because I really like a big old plot twist, and there was one, and I like it a lot. Yes, and like they give you a lot of background on each character, so like they give you how their lives were pre-pandemic, and then like how they got to that point, and then how they intertwine. Cool. And basically just a little bit of a last reminder that if you are going to read this book, remember, this book was published in 2014. They do not know what they're talking about, and this whole thing is very unrealistic. It really probably will never happen. Okay, now I would like to talk about some stuff that happened in the book, specifics. So if you haven't read it, or you want to read it, maybe you should click off now. Okay, now, there's this scene. And if you really don't care, you're not gonna read the book, you're still welcome to join. There's a scene where Kirsten and August, Kirsten is the main character and August is like her friend, they go inside a house that was like practically untouched. Like the front and the back door were locked from the inside, and they had to like lockpick their way in. And they find their whole family dead. Now the whole house is completely untouched, right? Like it's been that way for years, probably. And they find, Kirsten goes into a kid's room and she finds that there's a kid there that's dead. And then her friend August tells her that the parents are dead too. Now here's the thing that Kirsten pointed out, and I was like, oh my god. So the parents were in their own room, in their bed, covered dead. And the son was in his room, covered dead. Now the thing is, this whole family died at the same time, or a more thought is that the parents die first and then the kid was there all alone. And also, how did they get infected? Who infected who? Etc. Stuff like that. Another thing is the interconnectedness. So I'm going to give you a specific point or a specific thing that interconnected them. So Arthur's first wife, Miranda, made this comic book series called Station 11. No, it wasn't called Station 11. It was called Dr. 11. It was called Dr. 11. But basically, they live on an island, and it's called Station 11. But basically, Miranda made these comic books, and later on, she gave 2 copies to her ex-husband, Arthur, which is one of the main characters. And Arthur didn't want anything to do with the comic books. He didn't really understand them, but he really loved his son from his second wife, Elizabeth. And he decided to give his son one set of copy of the Dr. 11 comics, and then the other second set to this little girl named Kirsten that was in the Lear play with him. And he gave those both those copies to 2 different people in 2 different parts of the world. Now, both of those people were greatly influenced by those comics. Kirsten, because that was like the only thing that was like connecting her back to the pre-pandemic world, because she was 8 when the whole thing started, so she didn't really remember her life before the pandemic. And then the other kid, I don't even know why, like probably because it connected him to his father, which he greatly hated. So yeah, both of these people were greatly influenced, but one did bad and one did good. I hope you read this book. I will link it down below, but so you can read it and buy it and stuff, because it's a must-read for people during this pandemic. Thank you for watching. Bye.